Hello and welcome to A Sense of Centerville in Washington Township, your place for stories about ordinary and extraordinary residents and places in the Centerville and Washington Township area. I'm Susan from Centerville-Washington History, and I look forward to hearing your story. Today, my guest is Laura Zipes. Laura is the Centerville-Washington History 2022 scholarship winner. This extraordinary young lady has demonstrated her athletic talents and leadership abilities as varsity captain of the Centerville High School swim team, president of the National Honor Society, and unit representative of East Unit Assembly. Her club memberships include Students Against Destructive Decisions, Key Club, and French Club. Laura is very active in the community, working at Dunsinane Swim Club and encouraging young swimmers. During high school, she volunteered at SICSA and tutored other students. Laura plans to major in secondary education at Miami University in the fall. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. It's really nice to have young people on our podcast. We love people that have, a deep historical connection, but young voices, I think, are fresh and excited and just give a different perspective. So thank you for being here today. So the first question is, what are your thoughts about growing up in Centerville?
I've lived in Centerville my entire life, and I've absolutely loved it. I have nothing but good to say about Centerville. I actually love it so much that I think about coming back sometimes and maybe working here or living here. I just love the sense of community we have and how safe it is here. I've always felt safe here and loved, and I just really love how everybody, you can go out in the town and you walk out of your house and you see anybody and it has that small town feeling to it.
I think that's true. Like at the grocery store, I usually see somebody I know, and then we stop and have a little discussion. And I think that's really true about a small community is that, you can always find somebody that you know.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem more small town than it is. Yeah.
Definitely.
Wonderful. So what are your favorite things about Centerville and Washington Township?
Again, I love the community. I love how everybody is willing to help each other out and volunteer to make the community better. And I also love just how welcoming and how like when you go out in the town and see anybody everybody's willing to talk and chat to you. It's so welcoming. So I really enjoy that.
Yes, definitely. I agree. I think people are so kind here.
Yes.
We moved here from California, and I love California too, but I did notice here that there's a sense of community because it is smaller.
Yes,
than
I love
some of the other places.
when you drive and people I remember when I was younger, my dad used to wave to people in the neighborhood, and I was like, do you know them? He's like, no, you just kind of wave. It's the friendly thing to do. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. Everybody's so nice here.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that was surprising to me when we moved here was, and I don't know about your neighborhood, but my neighborhood, there's not a lot of fences. And
Mine
that
neither.
was just shocking, that people are that welcoming that, we can share this property, this space. And I know, fences are great too if you're trying to keep your kids safe or keep your dog safe. But I think that feeling of openness does kind of create a better, neighbor feel, because you actually do interact with your backyard neighbors or your side yard neighbors.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's really cool. Nobody in my neighborhood has a fence either.
Yeah. It's maybe the older neighborhoods are that way. I don't know. Why do you think young voices have an important part in history?
It's very often said, but it's true that young people are the future. So I think we have the power to maybe break or change a cycle or possibly start something new. And I think, especially with our generation that plays along with social media and technology, it's everywhere, it's prevalent. And I think through that we have the ability to, it alters the way we perceive information, the way we get information, how quick we can. So I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I probably in ways that I can't even imagine. Just because I am older, I interact with social media very differently than how you do. So tell me, how do you use social media? What is it for you?
For me, personally, it's just a way to kind of still see my friends, see what's going on in their lives. Especially, I'm excited because, especially since going off to college, I'm not going to be able to see those people face to face. So, for example, like Snapchat is just a picture of their face, but it's so much more than that. You know, you're seeing how they're changing, if they got a haircut, you know, little important things in life. But I also had the opportunity for the Centerville swim team as a captain to run the Twitter and Instagram for the swim team, which was a different side of social media that I didn't really get with my personal. And that was really cool to be able to see, like, I wanted to get all of our information now and see like what society, like what programs and things would recognize us. I think we had a following from like some restaurant here. I think it was maybe Old Scratch or something. They just wanted to see how we were doing. So that was really cool as well.
I love that that was one of your responsibilities, because it's so much better for a young person to interact with other young people than somebody my age interacting or trying to, you know, those new platforms are harder for somebody at my age and older to kind of interact with, because of the learning curve and because we're not that cool, you know. So trying to, you know, maneuver what's that platform is best known for we mess it up.
It's very confusing, I will say. Yeah. It took quite a bit of time for us to get the layout down and everything, because we wanted to be professional and still, you know, make sure that we're giving the right view of the swim team on the social medias.
Yeah. Do you think you'll do that in the future? Is that...
I don't know. It sounds like something fun. I think maybe like something fun to do on the side, you know, or I know, as you mentioned before, I coach for Dunsinane, and we have somebody who does the social media, but, you know, if they ever grow out of it, then maybe as coach or something that'd be fun.
Or for any other organization that you belong to in college. Yeah. At least you've done that. You have that under your belt, and you know how to promote whatever organization you're trying to support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So the next question is, why do you think diversity is important in the Centerville and Washington Township area?
I think diversity is really important because it drives, you know, creativity, personal development, and it really allows you to gain a new perspective, like they always say. And I think diversity really brings that sense of community to full circle. If you're allowing everybody to have a different voice, a different path, different speaker, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was actually just writing in my journal yesterday about all the different places I've lived and the things that I've learned at the different places. So I grew up in New York.
Oh, awesome.
And I learned a lot about different cultures there. And then I moved to South Africa for a little bit, and, you know, I was trying to recall some of the things that I enjoyed about that area, and was definitely animals. But then we moved to Texas, which was a whole new a viewpoint, and that was a little harder. We were a much more rural area, so that was challenging for me, having lived in more cities. And then finally, we moved to the Middle East, and I actually graduated from high school in Bahrain.
Wow.
Which was fascinating. And what I was trying to remember is, you know, at the different times, what my family life was like during that time. And when we moved to Bahrain, we were closer as a family because it was more challenging just to maneuver the culture and to be in a place completely out of our comfort zone, language and religion and everything. So we actually united even more. But it's interesting how different cultures and different ways of living can change who we are. So interesting, like going back to the diversity, you're going to Miami. How do you think that's going to impact, you?
At Miami, I know my sister goes to Miami, and I know she's seen right through it. My parents both went to Miami, so it's kind of in my blood,
You know what to expect a little bit.
Yes, but I think I'm going to be able, obviously I'm going to be more free, have some more freedom, and I think that's where I'm really going to grow as a person. I'm going to be able to find my own friends and discover, what I really like doing, because I think a lot of people end up changing majors in college, and like my mom did it, my sister did it, so it's pretty common. So I think that's really where you find what you want to do, like what your passion is. So I'm excited to see that aspect.
When all the comforts are stripped away,
Yes.
then you're kind of left to explore what are the things that are important to you. And I think you're also influenced by those people around you. At Miami, I know that they do have people from all over, although there is a lot of people from Ohio. Mm-hmm. But still, as you interact with people that maybe aren't just from Centerville, that can kind of influence what you want to do in your future.
Yes, I know. It is a lot of Ohioans, but I'm in a group chat for my hall, actually on Snapchat, and I know there was somebody from Virginia, New York, India, people from all over. So I'm excited to meet and see what those people have to say. But
yeah, and the perspectives that they have, which when you grow up in a completely different area, it does change your perspective.
Yes.
And that then can influence your perspective. So that's exciting. So it's important to record experiences in history so that people in the future can learn from our experiences. So I know it's very personal to talk about, but how did the pandemic affect people of your age? And you can share your personal experiences or just generally, that's fine, either one.
First, generally speaking, I think the biggest impact on people my age was learning. People, there was cheating online, and then they switched to pass or fail grades. And even when we got back into the classroom, it was so hard to go back to that 7-hour learning structure where you can't just go up to your bed and take a break in between classes, And I think also being back in created a lot of social anxiety for people. I know it was much harder to interact with your teachers and administration and even your friends because, we were cooped up that time during the quarantine and you couldn't really see your friends or extended family or anything. So you were not really talking to anybody, which I think is really hard to just be thrown back into. But I also think that it was affected small monumental moments as well. I know personally it doesn't sound big, but my 16th birthday was during quarantine and I wasn't able to get my driver's license for a couple more months. And although it's small, it's something that you look forward to on your 16th birthday, getting your driver's license, which was not fun for me. But and then my sister was a class of 2020. She was a senior during 2020, and she didn't get her graduation or her graduation party, which again is small.
Or prom.
Yes, none of that. And I know she was really upset about that because, that's kind of like a way to say goodbye. And you get recognized for doing all that hard work going through school for 12 so years. And I know even the 8th graders didn't get their Kings Island trip. And that's also small, but that was like one of the best times of my life. And that's also a way to say goodbye, like closure for 8th grade and going to high school. So that was sad for those kids as well.
Yeah, I was thinking just yesterday, my daughter took AP Chem.
Tough one.
Yeah, but all the good parts about Chem are the labs. And you didn't get to do any labs.
Yes,
and so
no labs.
All the good parts were gone, but all the bad parts remained. And going back to, this trying to learn those social skills after you haven't been working on them, it's such a pivotal age. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot to gain that back, that momentum back on how to socialize. Some people might say that time is completely lost. Mm-hmm. I think people are more resilient. Not everyone is resilient, but I think that you can gain them back. But it might take some time and effort and, mental health help as well. So share some of your pivotal growing up experiences in the Centerville and Washington Township area.
The first one that comes to mind is definitely the Americana, the parade, the festival, the 5K, the fireworks. I know for the fireworks, my family and I, we go every year, and we sit in our car and watch from the Centerville parking lot. And that's a really key moment for us, I think, because, we get to, that's a special moment. The fireworks are always awesome, and it's just more bonding time for us, which is awesome as well. And then it's a tradition, I run the 5K with my dad every year. And because I was so involved in swim and other activities, I didn't really have time, and it conflicted to do cross country, which was something I always wanted to do. So when I run the 5K, it gives me that chance to be like the runner I never got to be. And I really like seeing, all the, like some teachers run it too. So I like seeing a lot of people around the community there. And then just the parade, I walk in with my swim team every year. We walk in it. And this year was super special because, as you mentioned, as president of NHS, we got to help volunteer to carry signs and actually be in the parade this year, which was awesome to see those two overlap. And that was a really rewarding experience as well. And then, the festival, I go and get my kettle corn and Kona ice every year. I just love doing that. But I think besides the Americana, I also enjoyed really Centerville recreational soccer at Oak Grove. It was something I did for a really long time. And I just think it's a great way to meet people, like you get around. My love of sports came from there, and I'm friends with a lot of the same people that I was still on the soccer team with when I was little.
That's great. No, those are wonderful things to talk about, like the Americana Festival. That's the thing that my kids want to come. My children don't all live in this area, but they want to come to the Americana Festival because it's just where being in Centerville is like really cool.
Yes.
To be able to have that big street fair and the music and the food, of course. And I know my birthday's in July, and so my kids would always buy my birthday gift at the Americana
so nice.
Festival. And how about the Recplex? How has that been impactful in your?
The Recplex, it's one of my favorite places. It's probably my favorite place in like Centerville-Washington Township. That I've been swimming there for 13 years. I've been on the WTRC Sharks swim team, and it's basically my second home. I'm there almost as much as I am at home. Practices, morning practices, afternoon practices, and I've met one of my best friends there. I've met a lot of my best friends there, and I know those relationships are going to last a long time with them. And they're going to be some of my hardest goodbyes as well when I leave for college. But I've also met some great mentors there, like my coaches, and I've actually made friends with some of the lifeguards and things like that. So it's my second home.
Yeah, and it has been mine. I've worked there for 15 years, and I think we forget how lucky we are to have that facility in our community. I know a lot of the other pools, have struggled to be able to stay open and get the staffing. And so we're fortunate to have that pool facility. And swimming's just so great for your mental health, I think.
Definitely. It was a great place. I know a lot of the pools were shut down, of course, for the quarantine. But when the rec center opened back up, I still was not swimming a lot because of practice. We had to space out. And I know they opened up lap swim, and it was like one person per lane, like 3 people, but they still opened up that lap swim for me, and it was absolutely amazing. I got to swim, and it really helped my mental health as well because, I didn't want to stay at my house. I wanted to go swim. So I was so thankful for the rec center.
And that rhythm of swimming, yes. I think, and just the breathing that you have to do, it's meditative. I swam competitively in high school as well, and just getting into that rhythm of the laps and just you kind of get lost in thought.
Yes.
A little bit, and that's really good for your brain to just kind of just be doing something physical while you're thinking mentally. That combination really helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Why do you think it is important to volunteer, and what are your favorite ways to contribute to your community?
I think volunteering is important to just, show your support for the community, to help out and give back, and also, again, to bring that community together. Volunteering helps bring the community together. You're getting together, bettering the community. And I think it also helps make that next step for change, right? Like if you're volunteering, you're going to be changing something basically for the better. And I think you can also find your passion volunteering. I mean, One of my favorite volunteering experiences was tutoring. I got to tutor a variety of ages, 5th grade, 8th grade, high schoolers, and I loved it so much, and it made me really want to become a teacher because I just love helping kids grow and learn and help them just understand a subject even a little more. And then I also really enjoyed Operation Prom Dress at my church. It's a program where they get all things prom, so dresses, shoes, jewelry, makeup, and they put it in the church, and girls who maybe can't afford it or can't have access to it come in and they can pick out everything. And it was so cool to see how all the dresses and outfits came together, and seeing the girls excited for their prom that night. And that was awesome.
That's great. Is that Epiphany?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I remember seeing that advertised. So yeah, that's wonderful. And so how were you involved? What did you do?
I've done it for a couple years, but I think when I was younger, I was with my mom, and we helped with jewelry and shoes, so picking out jewelry and shoes. And that was, I wasn't the greatest at picking out that, but just to be involved in it, it was my mom, she was like, okay, this matches, but just to be involved in it, it was so special. I really liked seeing it come together, and I got to pick out some jewelry for the girls, and I think they liked it. So
yeah. Well, it's nice to have the second opinion. I know when you go shopping, you always want to bring somebody because you can get that confirmation that you need that This looks good. It's not just your decision. So, and going back to the teaching, I agree with you. Is that's such a rewarding experience to kind of see somebody that doesn't know something and then just click. And it does take a special person to be able to have that patience to be able to teach somebody a new skill and have that be able to transfer your knowledge to somebody else. It takes figuring out how's that going to work for them, how are they going to respond. So I'm glad that when people know that that's what they're good at, that's a wonderful thing to be able to then pursue that as a vocation. What are the places around Centerville and Washington Township that hold significance to you?
Obviously, as we already talked about, the Recplex. I love it there. It's my second home. But also, I kind of keeping on the swim path. Dunsinane Swim Club has been an amazing place for me. I've swam there for the last 14 years on the summer team, and as you mentioned, I've gotten the opportunity to coach these last couple years, which has been so great. And I've met, some great kids, some dedicated swimmers, just awesome friends and people there. And I think I want to keep coming back because I know I'll never leave Dunsinane because my parents will always be here, and it's a great place to come back. And it was a great place of solace as well during the pandemic when they opened up during the summer. It was outside, you could still distance while being social. And I did get a little swimming in there, so that was great as well. But I also like the small monumental places in Centerville, like we mentioned Kroger, Graders, and I really love the library. I love going there. That's another place where you can meet people and, just relax and have a good time and learn more about your community in those places.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned Graders. Are there other restaurants around Centerville that you frequent?
Chipotle, a lot. I love Chipotle. That is a great place. But recently it just opened up Witt's Custard. I remember sometimes on road trips when we would have to go to swim in Denison or something, we would get Witt's on the way back. So my sister and I were super excited when we saw Witt's would open up. But yeah, I love Chipotle. Let's see, City Barbecue is great. Oh, yeah. I love the green beans there.
Me too.
Yeah, they're so good.
That's so funny because my family, they're like, why are you getting green beans? It seems an easy thing, but no, it's great. I love awesome. City Barbecue, and it's right by where I work. And so it's always,
smells good.
Yeah, it smells really good. Any other favorites, spots?
I would have to say Dairy Queen. I love going to Dairy Queen.
I'm seeing a theme, the ice cream.
The food. I do love food. But I think Dairy Queen, sometimes we ride our bikes there, and that's just another chance to bond with any friends or family, riding your bikes there. And that was also a great meetup spot after swim meets. We went to Dairy. We would always get ice cream after swim meets.
Yeah.
So we would go to Dairy Queen.
Burned a lot of calories.
Yes.
So.
So yeah, we would go to Dairy Queen. I've gone to Dairy Queen since I was little, and I love it there.
I remember we always used to go to Dairy Queen after soccer games.
Yes.
When my kids were little, that would stop by for Frosty or whatever they're called. I can't remember. Blizzard. Sorry.
Yes, Blizzard.
Yeah. wrong chain. Okay, so one of the Centerville High School statements is elk pride never dies. Do you think this is true? And what things about Centerville or Washington Township are you proud of? So that's like a 3-point question. So the first one is, do you think that it's true? Elk pride never dies.
I definitely think it's true. I've had several teachers who have gone to Centerville and then come back to teach and have nothing but good to say about it. And same with coaches. I've had coaches who come and want to coach sports in Centerville because they love it so much. So I think that's something you never forget, something that sticks with you, especially that fun motto, elk pride never dies. It sticks in your head. I don't think you ever really forget your time as an elk. And I know we talked about this yesterday, but I had the opportunity at the Grand Marshal dinner to say a closing speech for Dr. Tom Henderson. And at the end of the speech, I actually mentioned, elk pride never dies and how I think he'll always be an elk. And he came up to me and told me he really liked it. So I think that, and I think it's true. I think he will always be an elk. I think we will always be elks. And I just think it's something you'll never forget.
Yeah. And he really has made such an impact in our community. So I'm really glad you got that opportunity because of Americana.
Yes, I was kind of a double as I was there. I had won the Americana scholarship, but I was also NHS president, and NHS also had the opportunity to volunteer there as well, which was super awesome. So I was there, and they asked me to do the closing speech, and I was like, "Oh yes, I will do that." And that was really exciting for me.
It sounds like you have taken a lot of opportunities this year.
Yes.
And it's paid off. That's really great that you seem like you have a bright future ahead, and I'm sure many things will continue to be good. And what do you want to get involved in the future?
I definitely want to get involved at Miami specifically. I want to join the club swim team and the club running team. So I am going to pursue my running.
Yeah.
But my sister is involved in something called MAP, which is activities and planning at Miami. And they host events, for freshmen, formals. They host the big mega fair, which is where all the club teams and organizations sit outside and you can go up to them. And I think that's something I'd really want to get involved in. I love organizing and planning, and I think that'd be super cool. And I also have thought about maybe when I go to teach, maybe coaching the high school team or coaching if there's a middle school team for swim, something like that. So I've thought about some of those things.
Yeah, and time will only tell, where your energies go to. So I hadn't realized, you did mention that your sister's already there, and
yes.
She's 2 years older than you?
Yes, she'll be a junior.
Oh, so is that going to be a good thing to be there with her?
I definitely think so.
You get along really well?
Yes, we do. We're really close, and I think just being there will make it feel even more like home, even though it already does. And I'm already friends with some of her friends, and my roommate is actually one of her sister's younger siblings. So her younger sister and I are rooming together, which is really fun, I think. So yeah, I think it's going to be, and we're going to be in club swim together, and she'll be, I think, treasurer for the club swim team. So the officers get to coach once a week. So she'll get to coach me once a week.
Well, that's good or bad, depending on your relationship. So that's
I
good.
think good.
she's better than you at swimming, or
we have different events.
Comparable.
Yeah. So
what is your event?
I do distance swimming. So I do the 500 for high school. I always did the 500 and the 200 free, because the 500 was the longest event. But I also do the mile and the 400 IM.
Wow. So definitely good skill sets to have, because not a lot of people have those skill sets.
Yeah, a lot of people don't do distance because it takes a toll on your body, but I don't like sprinting, so I think distance is cool.
Perfect. Yeah. Isn't that great? And did you say I am? So
Yes.
So you do all the strokes?
Yes, although I don't love backstroke.
Oh, really?
But I do all of them.
Yeah, I could never do breaststroke fast. So that was my Achilles heel. But I've loved visiting with you. Thank you so much for being here today. And you have a great voice and a great story and lots of good things to say. So I appreciate the time we've been able to spend together. So thank you to Miami Valley Communication Council for helping to produce this podcast, and to my guest, Laura Zipes. If you have an interesting story of Centerville or Washington Township, please contact Centerville-Washington History. Please also come visit our museums in Uptown Centerville Tuesday through Friday, 12 o'clock to 4 p.m. And follow us on Facebook or Instagram and watch for upcoming events posted on our website at centervillewashingtonhistory.org. Thank you. Bye-bye.